Mills, whoever does Cheerios, that's my opinion only. Don't sue me. But no, I mean the cereal aisle. You got a whole aisle of stuff
Yeah,
that
brightly
literally,
colored.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
that literally costs the company that produces it pennies per box,
yeah, yeah,
and they charge dollars per box.
yeah.
Like you
Exactly.
want,
Yeah. I mean, like that's the argument of like they are um position themselves like it's a time saver, right? For parents,
mm,
like it doesn't require any work. The parents don't have to get up and make eggs or bacon or whatever it is.
mm,
It's like they can put some milk on the table and a box of cereal, and then the kids can help themselves. So that's when that busy parent looks at it. They're like, oh, that's a time saver for me. My time is worth X amount, or
mm,
I do need that extra 20 minutes of sleep or to get ready for work. It's just a symptom, really,
yeah.
of this kind of
It
over busy,
well, and
stressed life.
it's also all marketing. So like,
Yeah.
and so 24, 25 years ago, right? I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes.
Hmm.
I was almost 200 pounds. I was in terrible shape, right?
Hmm.
And my doctor put me on metformin. Well, it started small and then just kept getting bigger every year. I
Mm.
was on heart medication for high blood pressure. I was on another one for statin because everybody got a statin those days.
Mm.
If you breathe, they said, "Oh, you need a statin," and they prescribed the statin drug to you, and some other stuff. And so I'm looking down the cereal aisle with my wife, and I usually bought like muesli or something like that, which is
Hmm.
supposed to be healthy. No, it's not, but
Mm.
that's beside the point,
Mm.
right? And
Mm.
I'd looked, and I went, oh, hey, look at Cheerios are oats. Oats is supposed to be heart healthy. It has that big symbol, right? American
Mm.
Heart Association, heart
Mm.
healthy. I said,
Mm.
let me try Cheerios. It's a little bland. It doesn't have all the nuts and fruit
Mm.
stuff muesli had, but that's okay. And so I started eating it. And very quickly, I found out that, oh, by the way, you know how many hundreds of thousands of dollars the cereal companies pay the Heart Association for the right to put that
Mm.
sticker on their box?
It's
There's no
crazy.
scientific evidence this stuff does anything. They paid for that sticker.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just blatant. It's just so like it's
exactly.
like they didn't even hide it. Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
crazy.
it's all about follow the money. So and by the way,
Mm.
so for everyone who's listening to it, and you made it to this version or this episode, understand, I do not dislike doctors. I do not dislike dietitians. I love the medical professionals. Okay, they are every medical professional who's one of my friends, and I have several on in all kinds of different fields. They are all people who honestly want to help you not be sick. Right?
Hmm.
I don't know one of them that says, "Oh yeah, great, I'm going to get them because they're sick." No, no, no. They don't want you to be sick, right? But they have a problem. When they go to school,
Hmm.
if you're a medical doctor in Europe or North America, right? You typically get 4 hours or less nutrition training in medical
Hmm.
school.
Hmm.
Because quite frankly, you got 10,000 other things you have to learn. And
Hmm.
it's a lot of stuff, right? So they get almost nothing on nutrition.
Hmm.
And so what the doctors do? They usually bring in the nutritionist, right? Who's the trained nutrition expert to give them, the four credit hours of nutrition training, and that's who they rely on. And if you go to any big medical center now, they always have nutritionists on staff. So if you're having a problem with your diet, they give you to the nutritionist.
Hmm.
And I did a whole series on this. I've known this for years, but I did a whole series just recently on this again. Your nutritionists, right, the schools they go to, are all funded primarily or secondarily by Pepsi, Nestle,
Right.
Coca-Cola, Kellogg's.
Mm. Mm.
Whoa. I wonder if there's an agenda in their books. You look at their textbooks, their textbooks are all underwritten by these companies.
Mm.
Okay.
Hmm.
And if you know anything about how nutrition science And by the way, there's a wonderful book, right? Dr. Richard Feynman from SUNY University, New York. He wrote this book called Nutrition in Crisis. 'Cause he specializes in research. He's not a medical doctor, he's a research doctor, right? And
Hmm.
his whole book was 90% or more. I think today he'd probably say 95 or 96%, right? Of nutrition research is bunk.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I've done a couple videos where I talk about where I'm sitting here looking at social media sites, and I'll get to soon. It says, and this is the best one because I did put a post up there on this one. It said, uh, "This you can get rid of glucose in your bloodstream by taking this we found that if you have this bug in your gut, it increases the glucose in your bloodstream. So we can give you this um, nutraceutical. It's not a pharmaceutical, but it's not a
Hmm.
which is a true drug, and it's not just like some simple supplement, right? It does have a lot of processing in it that
Hmm.
traps this bug, this bacteria, and you poop it out, and you won't get the additional glucose. And there,
So
it's
overcomplicated and
great. Well,
confusing.
but you take this pill and you lower your blood
Yeah.
glucose, right? And
Right.
everyone's hearing about
Right.
blood glucose problems.
Mm.
Well, I
Mm.
looked into this. I said, okay, wait a minute. Let's look at this one. So first of all, no one told you that it was a mouse study, which has absolutely no relations to humans. Something that works
Mm.
on a mouse does not work on a human
Mm.
necessarily.
Right.
It might point you in the right direction, but it doesn't work in. If something works on a mouse, it doesn't mean
Mm.
it works on a human,
Yeah.
right? The second thing is, and this is what really struck me, and this is what I wrote the whole series of videos on was what they're doing is they're trying to trap a small bacteria, right, in your
Hmm.
gut so that it doesn't get into your bloodstream, creating more blood glucose, right? But they're dealing in the smallest amount of blood glucose
Hmm.
when just stop eating carbs.
Right. You can control it much easily just by
Yeah.
controlling
And
the
you don't have
intake.
to
Yeah.
take the
Yeah.
expensive supplement.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah. It's like, I mean, like the whole industry is just designed around, hey,
yeah.
you can keep
So
eating whatever you're doing, but we're going to fix it
so if
with
you
this
look
pill.
at the study, and this is where I had my problem with the study, right?
Hmm.
Um, when I was taking science in college, right? And I do not have a degree in hard sciences, right? I
Hmm.
have business degrees, PhDs all the way up, right? But they're business, so they're not hard sciences. I
Hmm.
know my limitations, but I know how to read uh,
Hmm.
a study in a published study, and I do remember my science classes I had to take. The first rule in science is you don't try to prove a hypothesis. You try to disprove the hypotheses in your
Hmm.
scientific study, right?
Hmm.
Well, they had a hypothesis. If we can trap this little bug, we will eliminate some blood glucose. And they
Hmm.
went around proving it using defective mice,
Hmm.
genetically defective mice that they overfed so that they were obese, and then
Hmm.
they it was cancer actually, and they fed them with cancer or whatever, and their magical pill
Hmm.
got rid of the cancer.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, you guys
Hmm.
invented the problem. You
Hmm.
came up with a pill that corrected the problem that you invented.
Hmm.
And now you're trying to tell people, look at this stuff. We're going to be putting out a human pill shortly. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
that's
Crazy.
the nature of medical research today.
Yeah.
And I looked
Yeah.
at study after study after study, and they're all built around this. We come up with a hypothesis, and we're going to prove the hypotheses,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
and then we'll sell you a pill based on that. When
Hmm.
when I took science, 40 years ago, the whole idea was you come up with a hypothesis and you try to disprove the hypothesis. My
Yeah.
hypothesis is uh, that getting lower blood glucose helps your health. Well, I'm
Hmm.
going to try to
And
disprove that, right? And
and
it's completely
and
different. It's
and like
backwards.
and like and like based on reviewing these experiments and stuff, do you have you noticed a certain time period when this it changed from disproving to just proving?
Uh, happened in the last 15 to 20 years.
Right. exactly. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean that,
right.
like that makes sense because suddenly they realize like with the rise of supplemental products, they realize, oh, we just need to a
It,
sign off from a study.
yeah,
We're good to go.
it's all follow the money. This is, whether you love him or hate him, Robert F. Kennedy is doing some great things in my mind. And one of the things he's doing is he's getting rid of all the junk science, right?
Hmm.
Uh, I get people all the time who try to contradict what I'm saying, and they say, "Oh, I found this study on PubMed that says
Mm.
that meat causes cancer."
Mm.
I love those. Great. Okay, let's look at the study,
Mm.
and I'll
Yeah,
take them
I'm
through
like,
that, and it's
yeah,
garbage.
yeah. Okay, I'm just gonna. I've got a couple of
Sure, of course. So please,
like smaller questions, and then I've got
mhm,
a bigger one at the end. So,
sure.
I mean, to be honest, the more we talk, the more like little questions come up, and I'm sure it's also what people watching these videos are thinking. They're like,
Oh
oh,
yeah,
but what about this,
I'm
and what
I'm
about
going to
that?
chop this up
Because
in things, and
yeah,
by the way, once again, anyone who has done this, ask me a question
mm,
on the comments on YouTube. I will answer
excellent.
you. I answer every one of them as best as I can, reasonably. And I talked about the grass-fed beef versus regular beef. That came up as a question.
Hmm.
I will
Hmm.
take your questions and turn them into videos if I
Yep.
need more than a couple lines to give you a good answer. So
Hmm.
yeah, go ahead and do that.
Okay.
I know Rob will also do the same thing for any questions to him.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. You can keep your questions more like recipe based for me. I can definitely help you there. Okay, so I want to kind of look back into the keto side of things because
Yes.
obviously, like mainstream keto emphasizes like high fats,
Mm-hmm.
medium protein, and eliminate the carbs. But my experience of the kind of non-mainstream but the kind of healthy keto, let's call it clean keto, maybe is the best word.
I like
But
that.
and like the fat, we use things like olive oil and
Mm-hmm.
there is some butter and things like that, like moderate amounts, like there's
Mm-hmm.
salmon, like the fats are more like natural sources, what I
Yep.
would call them. Whereas like the mainstream keto is like, there's cream cheese and everything. There's a lot of like that grated mozzarella stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but whenever I try to educate people in Facebook keto groups and say, oh, I'm stuck, I can't lose weight, and there's people saying, oh, well, have you increased your fat levels? And I say, actually, it's not about fat, it's about your net carbohydrates, because if you eliminate the the carbohydrate intake, then your body's forced to produce
Mm-hmm.
um, ketones. But people say, no, that's not keto, or you don't know what you're talking about. But I'm saying, well, it's just that just seems like common sense to me. You take away one fuel source, you have to burn the other. It doesn't matter if you're
Mm-hmm.
consuming fat or not. And actually, a lot of people who are consuming too much fat on keto, they're probably not actually burning as much waste as they thought they would be, because, like we discussed earlier, your body can quickly turn consumed fat into energy, which might be sufficient for people who aren't really that active. They might be doing less than 2,000
Mm-hmm.
steps a day. They're not really moving.
It's
So
still energy balance.
still
Absolutely.
energy. So like it's not necessarily, oh, just eat as much fat as you want. It's really when you boil it down to the fundamentals, it is eliminate carbs, burn keto, sorry, burn fat.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's it.
Yes.
That's absolutely it. Yeah, I just wanted just to go because obviously, you've had a lot of experience with that, and it's just hard to sometimes speak against the tide when people can only follow one thing, and it's just finding the best way to educate people about this
Yeah.
based on actual experience, and
So,
then we can really kind of make a
mhm.
dentist by having like social proof, right?
As a um my experience with Facebook, because I've given up on Facebook. There are too many people who don't know what the hell they're talking about on Facebook,
Hmm.
right? And you get drowned out by the idiots, and that's
Hmm.
all there is to it. Now, let's talk about this idea of eating more fat. Yes, the basic concept of eat more fats does hold up in keto groups. Because conceptually they're correct. If you get your fat, and I'm going to use kilocalories, right? Calories as the line because it's easier to measure sometimes.
Hmm.
We can
Hmm.
we can look at labels and determine
Yeah.
calories,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
It's not real, but we can help
Yeah.
determine amounts.
Yeah.
If the amount of fat that you're eating is, let's say, 75 to 80% of your calories are fat and 20 to 25% are protein,
Yeah.
you have a very high level of fat, right?
Hmm.
Now, in my book, to eat a truly ketogenic diet, you need to eat 20 grams or less of carbohydrate. There's always a small amount
Hmm.
of incidental
Hmm.
carbohydrate in
Yeah.
food, right? So I don't really worry too much about that. But the idea is don't eat any additional carbohydrates if you're trying to get into that therapeutic ketogenic state, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Now, step two, which no one talks about, is the quality of the fat. And
Hmm.
this is very important, right? Dairy fat. The reason I don't like dairy fat as a primary fat source is because what is the whole purpose of milk?
Right. Yes.
It's to
This is
get
this
a
is a
cow
whole
fat.
other thing.
It's to
And
get
and
a calf
yeah.
fat, right? And
Yes.
grow.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
so milk from a cow or from any other mammal
Mm.
is an anabolic substance. Its whole purpose is to have the baby animal grow bigger, grow more
Yep.
muscles, grow more
Yep.
fat, grow more everything, right?
Yep.
Well, this whether you believe you get into this whole thing that humans shouldn't eat other animals' milk and stuff, that's a whole nother
Mm.
story. But the whole idea is what is the purpose of milk products? It's an anabolic substance. It's designed to build. It builds muscle, but it also builds fat. Okay?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
tends to prohibit the breakdown of fat. So if you're trying to lose body fat, and I don't worry about how much you weigh, I'm worrying about how much lean body mass you have versus how
Yep.
much
Yep.
body fat you have, right? If you're trying to lose body fat, the last thing you want to do is take in an anabolic substance in great
Mm.
quantities because
Mm.
it's going to stop you from burning body fat. Okay,
Hmm.
so I don't like the cream cheeses. I don't like the soft cheeses. I don't like
Yeah.
milk. I, uh, I, I, I like butter for cooking because it adds great flavor,
Yep.
and I do buy grass-fed milk or butter,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Um, the Irish one, if everyone knows which one I'm talking about,
Yep.
because
Yep.
that's the one that's easily available to me, right? But grass-fed butter, uh, it's wonderful, tastes great, and it's a great thing to cook in and stuff. If you're cooking eggs, I love the buttery flavor on my eggs, and that works. But I eat very little cheese. I eat a little bit cheese. I like the flavor. Tends to be a
Hmm.
hard cheese, like a cheddar or something, right? Uh,
Hmm.
Not a whole lot, just a little bit, because once again, dairy is very much an anabolic substance,
Mm.
where beef and beef fat are not. They're
Hmm.
very neutral. Your
Mm.
body will use them as it needs to.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting the point about the. I mean, this it's the lactose. I mean, the sugar, like lactose
Mhm.
sugar, that's prohibiting people from losing weight. And it's a lot of people who come onto my programs. They say, "Oh, I do intermittent fasting and I don't eat anything until lunchtime." But from 8 a.m. until 12, they're drinking a coffee this size filled with milk.
Mhm.
It's basically just keeping their body ticking over with
Oh
just
yeah,
enough nutrition,
I I
not
I
nutrition,
I understand that
energy.
because I used to drink. Uh, I used to make this god awful bulletproof coffee concoction
Mm,
that
mm,
had coffee. 'Cause I like coffee. I still drink a little coffee every day, right? It's a habit of mine. And but this one, it had coffee and it had coconut oil in it and it had heavy cream, right?
mm,
Dairy. And I'm going, I'm just not feeling great drinking this. Something's wrong.
mm.
And so I said, why am I drinking coffee? Well, I like the flavor and it gives me something in the morning to just get started before I eat my
Yeah.
breakfast, my one meal a day.
Hmm.
So what do I really want my coffee? So right now, what I drink as a bulletproof coffee is a very high quality coffee because low quality coffee has all kinds of stuff in it
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
which you don't want. And in that coffee, I mix in um, and this is because remember I'm over 60, so I'm working off the stuff that's actually in my videos, right? I put in creatine because you want creatine for brain health and for muscle
Hmm.
health. I put in leucine because I want to get that leucine kick. You need 3 to 5 grams of leucine to kick your muscles into building, right? In an
Hmm.
anabolic state.
Hmm.
And so 4 eggs is about 2.5 to 3 grams of leucine. So if I put 2 to 3 grams of leucine in my coffee, that gives me 6 grams of leucine. I'm definitely
Yep.
at that
Yeah.
threshold, right?
Mm.
So I put in those two items. I put in a little bit of butter,
Hmm.
grass-fed butter, because one of the things I'm looking for in the butter is an omega fat called D15.
Hmm.
It's